Hello everyone, and welcome to a video I told you I was going to make, which is the Avatar Legends, the fighting game roster prediction video. I'm really hoping that, by the time I put this out, they won't have released more information. But so far what we know is the game is going to have 12 characters, and each character seems to have 3 supporting characters. As you can see, I've arranged a little tier list here with everybody and their current supporting characters, as well as the characters we know will be part of that 12 that weren't in the most recent playable demo, which is Toph, Sokka, and Azula. That leaves us 5 roster slots to predict, which isn't all that much, especially given there's only one Korra character in the game so far, and if you can see the way I've sort of laid out these empty character slots, I'm predicting that most of the new characters are going to be Korra characters, which might be disappointing to some of you, but even then, we're going to have a little bit of fun predicting the potential supporting characters for our Team Avatar and Avatar Villain members. But first, we need to fill in these final slots. And interestingly, I think we might have some hints. Because for one, well, if Iroh wasn't coming to the game, you would think he would be here to support Zuko, right? Like, we're really going to choose June over Iroh, the character whose role in the story is literally to support Zuko. So this final character slot from the Aang Gang timeline is, of course, going to be Iroh, and I'm color-coding them based on their element. I guess non-benders get to be purple. That's one of the colors I had left over. And yeah, that really makes just enough sense. It doesn't really make sense to save Iroh for DLC, I guess. He's such a popular character. Why not? This is an Avatar fighting game. Of course he'd be in there. I'm not sure exactly how he'd play. I mean, I guess you could make him the classic, like, heavyweight grappler, I suppose. But I suppose we shall find out. As you can see here, I've sort of arranged the tier list so we have the most popular characters that you might want to pick, as well as characters who would be their supports in this section. Let's just start by filling out the Korra characters that I've decided to choose, though. And here's the thing. Korra's supports also give us a pretty big hint, I think, because who is not among her supports? Literally anybody from her Team Avatar. So I could very easily just go, yep, it's Mako, Bolin, Asami, and Tenzin maybe. But I don't exactly want to do that. I've got a slightly different idea. So let's start with Asami, who is certainly going to be in there, given that she is part of Korra's inner circle, and you would definitely expect her to be a supporting character if she wasn't going to be playable. The question is, of course, like, how is she going to play? Because her moveset should, if it's like the show, revolve around just touching people with a glove and they go down instantly. Like, that's really all she does in fights. Well, except for, of course, operate mechs. So I do believe that Asami will probably be in one of those mech suits. Which is a little lame, but it also is a unique thing for her to be doing compared to, say, Sokka, right? So, hey, I guess that works. But what about Mako and Bolin, okay? I could so easily say, well, Mako's got nothing interesting going on compared to... I mean, we already do have 3 firebenders, right? We've got Azula, Iroh, and Zuko. Zuko covers a lot of Mako's firebending style, and Azula does lightning bending. So, like, what is even left for Mako to do? Well, what if they are a team? You could say they're like a sports team, perhaps. I'm going to call this an earthbender, just because... Oops, I'm not typing in the box. The Fire Ferrets, as a team of 2. I guess, the third one isn't going to be there. I know the pro bending thing was a pretty small part of Korra overall, but it would give them a unique fighting style, and having them be like a stance change character who can swap between Bolin or Mako would also make them feel unique, because like Bolin has stuff that makes him feel unique. He's got like the lava bending, but Mako really doesn't. So this is the best way I can think of to include them, and also make it interesting. All right. These last two slots get interesting now because, you know, we've got all of Korra's team on here, aside from maybe Tenzin. But the thing is, Tenzin's competing with someone who is a far more interesting airbender, in my opinion, even though I like Tenzin, which is Zahir. Obviously, we don't have Ozai on this board. We have Azula, though. So having a villain does make a lot of sense. So we are going with Zahir, who is labeled in the tier list as a non-bender, but I mean, we all know. I don't think I even have to like mince words on who Zahir's supporting characters would be. Where's Ghazan? Oh, there it is. I was gonna say he has like a weird image. That's why. Okay. So yeah, and then you have the whole Red Lotus there. That feels pretty good. But okay, now we have one last character slot, and we're really getting down to it, right? We could have Amon, we could have Suki, we could have Boomy, Jet, Ty Lee. Like, these are all great choices. And unfortunately, well, maybe unfortunately, I do think this is a good choice. I have to go with Kuvira, who is another villain, but interestingly, she brings a new type of bending to the game, which is metal bending. And I think that's important to consider, right? Like, okay, Ty Lee entering the game brings some sort of close quarters combat that's probably going to be fairly similar to, you know, what Sokka's doing. She has a gimmick with the chi blocking, but that also just kind of makes her annoying to fight against in this theoretical situation. And the same is kind of true of Suki, where as much as I really like her to be in the game, I don't think she brings... Other than maybe all of the supports that we have in the game so far are pretty infeasible to be an actual playable character in the future. They're either animals or, you know, characters who we don't see fight, really. I mean, the only exceptions are maybe June, Mai, and Paku. I guess Hakoda also fights, but, like, not in an interesting or unique way. And even then, like, these three aren't that different from other playable characters that you could pick that are also more important. So yeah, let's try to figure it out. Honestly, Toph might be the hardest one. The most obvious choice for Toph is, I think, the Boulder. The Boulder has a very unique personality. And of the wrestling earthbending characters that Toph interacts with originally, the Boulder just kind of makes the most sense, I think, as a memorable character. Like, you could do the two people that chase her during the story, but usually the characters who seem to be supports are like a person's ally, not necessarily just a person that's an important character to them. And the Boulder does come fight on the Day of Black Sun, so it kind of makes sense. But after that, it gets really difficult. Like, who else would Toph have as a supporting character? She doesn't really have that many in the original story, and it would feel stupid to give her, like, Boomy or something just because he's an earthbender. Especially because he could, again, come as, like, DLC or something later down the line. So just pretend this is a Badger Mole, okay? Pretend this is a Badger Mole, because this tier list doesn't have a Badger Mole on it. I think a Badger Mole makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of animal companions going on here. Well, Rava isn't an animal companion, but, you know, a non-human companion. So it makes sense to have a Badger Mole. Toph learned how to do her whole seismic sense thing from the Badger Moles, so it makes a lot of sense that way. And then finally, and this is the weirdest pick of them all, because, like, you know, it isn't somebody who really supports Toph, but it is a character who could provide Toph with some sort of interesting buff, I guess, and that's the Sandbenders. Just like a Sandbender. I really am sort of scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to figure out who supports would be. But that does make some sense. Like, she's probably going to have some sort of trapping quicksand move or something, right? So having the Sandbenders there and be like, oh, quicksand is more effective now, does do something, practically. Sokka. Okay, well, it was kind of rude of Katara to steal Hakoda, because that feels more like a Sokka support than a Katara support, but hey, I guess we don't want to resurrect the dead mother, so this is where we're at. I'm going to stick with the thing of not putting any major characters as supports, so we're not going to have Suki, but we can definitely have Yue. I think that's pretty much a given. I don't think I have to explain any more than that. Now, who else makes sense for Sokka? Well, Piandao, of course. His master. I think that one's also pretty much a given. Now, the last one, this one gets a little bit more difficult. And I picked a kind of out-of-the-box option that I think would be funny. Because, like, obviously you could do, like, Jet or, again, Suki or something like that. But if we're trying to keep them to minor characters who would not be playable, how about fake Sokka? I don't know, that sounds kind of funny. Like, him and the actor of him have a little, rapport from the Ember Island Players episode. And it would, again, sort of make sense as a way to give Sokka a slightly different playstyle, right? Like, oh, maybe his, like, more exaggerated attacks now do more damage or something like that. I don't know. It's something. Azula. Okay, what is Azula's supports if not Mai and Ty Lee? Or Ozai? Like, who could possibly support her? Well, there is, of course, the two old ladies who I've now lost track of. What? They were, like, right at the top of the board. Where did they go? Oh, here they are. Which are certainly going to be there. There's really no way they aren't. Oh my gosh. Still hiding from me. Okay, but who else? This gets a little tougher. I could obviously pick, like, Azulon. Maybe that would kind of make sense. Or what about that, like, one general guy who she threatened to throw overboard and murder? Maybe? Well, no, my actual picks may surprise you. The first one is Chan. This kind of goes along the same lines as, like, actor Sokka. It's a memorable character. You could even have it be like Chan and that other guy. I don't remember the other guy's name, but like his little sidekick who I just saw right here. The party goers. Because that does, the party episode does put Azula in a different sort of mental state. So having that change her fighting style a little bit does make sense. And then finally, speaking of changing mental state, if Zuko doesn't have her, she is alive, and she is kind of a step on Azula's path to quote-unquote redemption in the comics, so why not throw Ursa in there? And it just makes Azula's, like, lightning attacks super powerful or something because she's, off her balance. Iroh! Okay, Iroh's is also kind of hard, because it's not like we can put Zuko in there. So, Luten is dead. I don't know if that can really work, is the problem. We haven't brought any other dead characters back to life, so why would it start with Luten? So instead, let's go with White Lotus. Zhang Zhang isn't going to have anybody else to support, and it's not going to be a playable character. Unfortunately, that's like the last member of the White Lotus that really makes sense to be a support for Iroh, because like Bumi would probably be his own character. We've already allocated Piandao and Pakku. So we could go into the Korra territory, but we don't seem to want to cross over the two sections, because it's not like, Katara has like Kaya or something. Or Zuko has one of his kids, or Aang has, like, Tenzin or one of the grandchildren. So I don't think that's really going to happen either, like, bringing in the spirits that Iroh was having tea with. Which puts us at a pretty tough spot. But it's not impossible if you think outside of the box. So I do think it is possible that this is where Azulon slots in. Azulon and Iroh, Azulon supported Iroh until like the very last second and then got killed by Ozai for it, to be honest. So it would kind of make sense to put Iroh back to his like more war days. Like maybe it goes from being more defensive to more offensive when Azulon is his support. I don't know. And then finally, there is that guy who he, I guess, didn't train to be a masseuse, but he encouraged to be a masseuse, and I've now lost track of him on the board. Where is he? Okay, there he is. Why not? It's a representation of the episode where we learn more about, like, we have the whole Luten section, and it kind of represents Iroh's mentorship. So there we have the three sides of him: the soldier, the mentor, and the White Lotus guy. That works, I think. Asami, oh gosh, it's getting hard again. Well, if she's going to be in a mech, it would make sense if the people that support her are, you know, people who work on that kind of stuff, engineers. So we're going to go with Varric. We're going to go with, of course, Hiroshi, whenever I find him on the list. He is dead at the end of the story, but, like, he's only dead for, like, 5 minutes, so I think we can probably bring him back. I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. Where the hell is he? Oh, man. I literally put them all up here so I could find them easier. There he is. Hiroshi, definitely, like, the number one. And then what? Julie? Problem is I need her for later. So... maybe we'll come back to Asami, okay? Maybe we'll come back to Asami. Bolin and Mako. Well, Pabu. Again, gotta get the little animals in there. Very important. They are, of course, basically being pro-benders, so maybe the pro-bending announcer? It might work, but honestly, I think Opal and Prince Wu make more sense, as important characters to them by the end of the story, right? Plus, I can definitely see, like, Mako loses the round and you can hear in the background, "Woo down!" or something, you know? And I don't think either of these two are going to be actual playable characters, so makes enough sense. Kuvira, well, this is where we need Julie. Because I think Suyin makes enough sense as basically her, like, mother figure who goes rogue. And then Baatar Jr., that's Baatar Sr. Oh, well, just pretend he's Baatar Jr. It's what Baatar Jr. kind of looks like. Oh, there he is. There's Baatar Jr. Baatar Jr. makes sense because obviously they work together. And then Julie is the spy. So, I don't know, maybe that changes the way she plays somehow. I figure that makes enough sense. And then the problem is just we don't have a third person for Asami to support. And it kind of shows that poor Asami doesn't really have that many of her own stories. In Korra, she's really only connected to her dad. And yeah, I struggle to think of who the last person could be. So give me a second here.
One eternity later.
Nope, I got nothing. You guys let me know who you think it would be in the comments. Just like a car? Maybe we have to change Julie to support Asami and then find somebody else for Kuvira, but that also seems rather difficult to me. So let's go over some of the support snubs. Bolin and Mako's family. They are important characters. I could definitely see the grandmother maybe being one of the supporting characters. I just think these two are more interesting. Like, oh, Prince Wu pushes you more towards using Mako, Opal pushes you more towards using Bolin, and then Pabu is like a balance of the two. Maybe, something like that. I did forget, however, Long Fang. Long Fang would also be a very good pick for Azula. If we don't want to bring Ursa back from the dead, technically, then maybe Long Fang makes sense as someone to support Azula. They are kind of at odds with each other, but it sort of represents the Dai Li, which are a part of her sort of court at the end there. So yeah, that makes sense. And then the last one I just wanted to touch on, because I forgot to at the time, is the Mechanist, who would be great as a support for Sokka, except he's already on a stage, which, to me, if they're not going to let multiple people have the same character as a support, I don't think they're going to have the background guy also be a supporting guy. Like, if it was just Teo, that's fine, but the Mechanist is also there. So, yeah, that's a little unfortunate. I still have no idea who I'm going to do for the last one for Asami, and I think I'm going to end the video without knowing, which is a little sad to me. Yeah, so let me know in the comments who you think Asami's final support would be. Would it just be Mako? Would we just have Bolin on his own? But then, you know, I don't think they would do that. I think they'd want both full team avatars. So yeah. I don't know. That's the list. I think there's some fun discussion to be had for sure. And honestly, I'd be perfectly fine with this roster. It's a little boring, but I think the quirks that I've introduced at the end here will make it interesting enough if that is what ends up happening. If it's just straightforward and Asami just kind of fist fights and Bolin and Mako are separate characters, and then we have like one at the end and it's Zahir maybe, that's fine too, but it's just less interesting. And it might even be more realistic because like drawing a machine in this 2D animated style seems like it'd be a nightmare. And also doing a double character means you're basically making 13 characters, not 12. But you know, what can I say? I have fun ideas. Funny ideas. Okay, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. This will probably be my last Korra video. So I hope you've enjoyed the little, I was going to say Korrathon. I guess that kind of works. Then I'm glad. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.